critical mass starting with a good concept of bringing out information for vehicles to share the road with cyclists. The true intent of sharing the road, unfortunately, has turned into taking over the road. There's some people involved in critical mass that have taken critical mass not from its intended operation of providing a good, safe ride. Critical mass typically takes place every last Friday. Anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 riders hit the street around 6:30 to 7, and it's been growing. They usually ride for about 18 to 25 miles in various areas of Miami and neighboring cities. Now here's the problem. When you have 3,000 people riding bicycles, you would think that somebody would want to have some type of control over it and to ensure the safety or traffic. And this is why critical mass right now has turned into a critical mess. There is no order, there is no clear direction, there is no control. Everybody just shows up and takes off. You're going to see photographs of children riding in critical mass without helmets. That's basically irresponsible. We've also seen people riding in critical mass with coolers selling beer. We have skate riders that join critical mass and make the riders disruptive. In the last critical mass, there was an accident where 4 riders fell. Luckily, they were very minor injuries, but if something would have been very serious, we have a hard time getting fire rescue in there to help out the individuals. The website that promotes critical mass promotes corking, which is illegal. That's when you put a few bicycles in front of a car and not allow a car to move through. For bicyclists, the same rules as a vehicle apply when you're on the road, and the same rules of a pedestrian apply if you're on a sidewalk. Therefore, if you're on a bicycle, you got to stop at every stop sign, you got to stop at every red light. Critical mass runs red lights, runs stop signs, and basically makes everybody wait for them, which is usually sometimes around 45 minutes. We've gotten many complaints of people stuck in traffic, people that are going to the hospital, people that are delayed picking up kids at school. And there was a letter I received from a gentleman that his grandma was dying, and he was stuck in traffic for 45 minutes. There's been many incidences where critical mass gets embedded by individuals that just want to have and do whatever they want. They go by cars, pounding on cars, they confront the drivers. At some point, they're under the impression that it's their road, cars shouldn't be on the road, so they pull drivers off to the side and threaten them that they got to leave the road. The roadway's for everybody. Everybody has to share. Vehicles have to share with bicyclists. Bicyclists have to share with vehicles. I understand that the true intent of critical mass was for everybody to have a safe ride. And for that, I am asking the individuals in charge of critical mass to have some type of dialogue with us so we can have something safe for everybody. There's other bike rides that come to the city that we assist, and it's nice and safe. We've sent 2 letters to Raidel Baluja Herrera, who is the actual real person behind Raidel Deed, and he hasn't returned our 2 letters yet. He has refused to sit down and talk to us. I guess he just wants this to be an impromptu thing, but when you have things that are impromptu and you don't plan for them, someone eventually will get hurt. In your media packets, there's video of children, of the massive crowd that takes over the street. And there's also an incident that happened in critical mass in Brazil of road rage, where an individual got he got tired of waiting in traffic and ran over 20 bicyclists. Some of them were critically hurt. We are hoping that this doesn't happen here, where somebody that is not completely sane decides to run over bicyclists, because then we're going to have a mess in our hands. And I'm just warning everybody out there that please, there's a lot of people that understand or believe that critical mass is sanctioned by the police department or the city. It is not. If you're taking your children out there, you're putting your children at risk. And if you're out there committing crimes, or not crimes, but violating traffic laws, eventually we will be starting to enforce all that. And hopefully, I hope that critical mass doesn't disappear, because it's something good for the community, but we need to do it in a safe manner. Any questions?
Yes, sir, I have a couple of questions. Number one, I wanted to correct you on a few things. Number one, critical mass, sir, is actually very good for the economy. It is not what, as you would say. I would like to explain to you a few things. Number one, the rides turnout was on an average of 1,500 to 2,000 people. Our rides are not on average of 18 to 25 miles, sir. Our rides are average of 12 to 17 miles. Only one ride a year we do 22 miles, okay? Now, I also want to bring to your attention now, what you said about the Brazil incident is true. I want to inform you and everybody that critical mass happens in 22 countries around the world, with the first one originally starting in San Francisco, California in 1992 to bring awareness. Now, I spent all night, I got no sleep. I went and found out as many statistics as possible from the FloridaBicycle.org, as well as the Department of Something Safety Vehicles statistics. In the state of Florida, has been #1 in bicycle and pedestrian fatalities in the entire world. Okay, because we're #1 in the United States. Clearly, we're #1 in the entire world. The bicycle movement that we're out here doing is not only great for the economy, because we're having bike shops up and coming. People that are even stealing some of the bikes from the bike riders, they're making money selling on the street. We brought a lot of money. There are, I honestly say, half the police out there that are awesome and ride with us even sometimes and understand our movement, but there's a lot of them out there that, with all respect, are very rude, harassing, driving over the cars. Now, I'm not saying two wrongs make a right. I'm not saying, that going through traffic lights is not necessarily good. However, bringing slight civil disobedience is the only thing in America and around the world that's been proven to bring entire regimes even down, okay? I want to also bring to you the fact that if you're not understanding this, 90% of the signatures for the Aaron Cohen Law Initiative Act, I never knew the guy too well. I would ride with him out in Key Biscayne sometimes, but a very good friend of mine, Nikki Witt, has asked, well, she has spearheaded, she's an awesome individual. The Attorney General of the State of Florida, Pam Bondi, fantastic individual. They worked so hard, and the Florida Association of State Troopers, including the Sheriff's Association, endorsed that law, okay, that risk got signed into law yesterday. Now, I want to remind you, over 30,000 cyclists took to the streets in memorial for him, okay? We're responsible for the Regina Key bike trails out there. I don't work for Max Cycle. I love Max Cycle. I ride with them. Max Cycle they fund 90% of all events throughout the state when it comes to that. They're the #1 advocacy out there, and they can tell you, anybody can tell you with knowledge, that the bicycle movement has not only brought the bike lanes. I was out there for the opening bike lanes in Key Biscayne. I also myself got over 800 signatures. I got much information on that. I can give that to anybody who wants to. So,
can I ask you a question?
Can I finish one more minute, please, sir? One more minute, please. So ultimately, we brought bike lanes. We brought a new law that many have tried to be signed into law in the past 25 years, and not a single one has passed. Ours has passed. So we're doing great causes, and you did say that you want to start enforcing the laws, but then you said you would like critical mass to stay around because it is something good. This is the thing. What we're doing is we are going through lights. However, I don't condone any violence. There's probably some cyclists that have tapped on some cars. There are drivers that have gotten rude with us. I'm not saying that anything that is done illegal should be allowed, but the basic function of critical mass is to go ahead and go through slight traffic lights to therefore bring awareness. And I myself am asked every critical mass at least 20 times. What is this for? And I explain the laws. There are so many people that come out because they know what critical mass stands for. So
Okay.
we're bringing laws, we're
Couple
bringing
things.
education, we're bringing health to the
Couple things,
community.
because
Thank
everybody
you.
else needs to
Yes,
talk.
thank you, sir.
One,
And you have a question for me, though, I think?
I missed your question. You just went on a tirade without asking a question. And number two is, if you want critical mass to clean up its own act, why don't you take control of it? Clean it up yourselves internally. You guys are not doing that.
Sir, I give free first aid service to
Hey,
people. I
everybody-
spend my own money. I'm certified in CPR as well as first
Okay,
aid.
that's
I
what
give
we-
over
Listen,
$150
it's
worth of
good.
first aid.
People like you are needing critical mass. What we don't
Yes.
need is the anarchists that go out and take over the road and try to bring this disruption. So if you have a critical mass without any control, without any leadership, why don't you take over the leadership and do something about it so you can make it a lawful event, not an unlawful event? Any other questions?
I think, sir, I think what they're saying is that they're almost intentionally breaking the law to get more attention so that the roads are changed, so that more bikers can be on the road. So if this is intentionally happening, what do you do to handle it?
And you know what? That's one issue, but the correct way is to get your legislatures to create more bicycle paths, to create more safety on the roads. But it's not safe when 3,000 riders take over the road and start pounding on cars, and eventually one of those drivers are gonna go crazy and they're gonna run over all these bicyclists. And you know, nobody wants that.
Chief, real quick, looks like you guys are making a very sincere effort to change critical mass enforcement with this letter, as well as trying to meet their leaders. Let's say worst case scenario, they ignore the letter, they continue to not want to talk to you. What's the next step?
As you see from the letter, we put Mr. Baluha on notice that since it's his webpage, since he's out there, we're gonna civilly find him responsible for something that happens. And you know, we still have this violation of the law. We're gonna start citing people. And that's why I'm telling everybody out there that believe that this is something that's sanctioned, something that's legal, they're gonna wind up with a ticket and gonna have to go to court. For running a red light, for running a stop sign, for forking, things of this nature. But everybody has to come to the table and everybody has to make this event safe if this event wants to stay around.
Chief,
And right now, it's not safe.
sorry, are you going to be there, well, not you, but is there gonna be strict enforcement for the next one, for those that are, the red lights that are ran and things like that?
That will be a secret when we start to do the enforcement.
Chief, one question. Why has Miami Police Department taken so long to address the issue when Coral Gables, City of Miami Police have escorted, been at intersections to make sure that the riders pass by
Well,
safely?
that's a fallacy. Those two agencies do not technically escort or help critical mass. Those agencies respond to phone calls, and the units show up at the intersections, and what are they gonna do with 3,000 riders? All they can do is stop traffic and make everything safe. The issue here is that we want critical mass to come to the table so we can have some organized event where everybody is safe in the event, and not necessarily a surprise, let's get together and let's go party and let's go ride. That is not something that will be safe for anyone.
Chief, the next rise is scheduled for this Friday, so if you don't get in touch with this man, or, I mean, what are you expecting?
No, the ball's in his court. I already sent him 2 letters and one of them certified, and we haven't heard.
So this Friday, can we expect a lot of tickets to be written?
It's a surprise. Maybe.
Come on, Chief, this isn't a party. You've called a press conference.
And it'll be real quick. How do you propose if you do want the critical mass to continue, but you also want to enforce tickets with critical mass, basically going to the lights? How do you suppose to resolve the issue? What would you like the critical mass people to do? And there is no really organizing. There's not that. I understand you that. We'll leave that to the court of law to deal with. But if there was, in your view, there is, what would you propose to be done? How would you think it? Because the only, and I'll say this, sorry, the only department that's ever asked critical mass people to pay money to escort them is the City of Miami. None of the other agencies. So how do you propose we resolve it?
We've never asked critical mass to pay anything. All we want is critical mass to come to the table to so we can reach some type of agreement. And the reason I am taking the stand is because we're the biggest city in the county, and critical mass rides through more roadways that belong to the city of Miami than any other city.
And what would you say if we were to come to you in personal or public, or go to the media with cell phone recording of officers telling us that it's better for us to pay them so they escort us, so we can do that legally? I don't think that's fair, because if it is an issue about taking up the space on the streets, then paying the police to do it is still
Listen,
gonna be on the streets.
Those are individuals that do not speak for the police department.
They're officers in uniform.
Yes, and they don't speak for the police department, and they're doing something wrong. You can
Turn
talk
on
to me
favors.
afterwards, give me their names, and we will do an investigation of it. Okay?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Sir?
Did you say that cyclists are gonna be ticketed for riding? Is the same gonna apply for drivers that don't respect giving the cyclists the 3-foot space that cyclists are sharing on the road? So that we do have the right to be on the road, and therefore drivers, maybe they don't know the law, but we do have a right to be on the road. I have a few experience, and many times that is not being applied or being enforced. And that is the reason why Critical Mass got started, was to raise awareness. Because if we are gonna be a city of the new century, and Miami is gonna grow, Miami, the drivers need to realize that there are cyclists on the road.
We will do both. Once we're out there, we will do both. Anything else?
Do it in Spanish.
Please, en español.
All right. All right. Muchas gracias por venir hoy. Estamos aquí para discutir el tema de masa crítica. Es una
Don't go away.
organización que se ha establecido donde montan bicicletas por las calles de Miami y muchas otras ciudades también. Los organizadores de esta masa crítica, nosotros le hemos mandado 2 cartas para que se reúnan con nosotros para poder llegar a término, para poder hacer el censo de una manera donde es protegida a todo el mundo, no más los ciclistas, pero las personas en vehículos también. El problema es que no han contestado las cartas. Tenemos incidentes donde las personas están trancadas en tráfico por más de 45 minutos, personas que necesitan ir al hospital, necesitan recoger a sus hijos de las escuelas y entonces están trancados en el tráfico y se frustran. Tenemos unos videos de Brasil donde una persona estaba frustrada y arrasó con 20, 25 personas en bicicleta, y no queremos eso que pase aquí. Tarde o temprano algún accidente serio de esto va a pasar. Una persona se va a enojar por estar trancado en tráfico, tiene que llevar a alguien al hospital y se va a enojar y le va a pasar por arriba a los ciclistas. Por eso estamos pidiendo que vengan, que hablen con nosotros. También tenemos muchachitos sin casco montando bicicleta. Tenemos padres que llevan a los muchachos a montar cosas irresponsables. Muchas personas lo hacen de buena voluntad, buena fe, pensando que esto es algo legal, algo que la policía está sancionando o la ciudad está sancionando, y eso no puede ser, no es verdad, porque siempre es una sorpresa cuando hacen estas cosas de un minuto para otro, de una semana para otra, y es muy difícil controlar 2.000 a 3.000 personas montando bicicleta que toman toda la carretera. Por eso le hemos pedido a ellos y estamos poniendo a todo el mundo en alerta, que muchas de las situaciones que están pasando son contra la ley, como llevándose la luz roja cuando tiene que parar en la intersección a las personas, los carteles de stop. La página web de esta organización le dice a las personas cómo romper el tráfico, que es ilegal, cómo bloquear el tráfico, que es ilegal, y por eso estamos poniéndole aviso a todo el mundo que si está montando en masa crítica puede ser multado, porque están rompiendo la ley cada vez que se llevan un semáforo o una pregunta.
Para este viernes está destinado a hacer masa crítica acá en Miami. ¿Cuáles van a ser las acciones de la policía?
Por ahora no tenemos ningunos planes de este viernes de hacer nada. Cuando empecemos a esforzar la ley, entonces empezaremos. Por eso quiero poner a todo el mundo en alerta que tarde o temprano vamos a enforzar la ley y vamos a estar escribiendo multas a las personas montando bicicletas. Y a los vehículos que no le dan los 3 pies de distancia a las bicicletas igualmente.
Ustedes les enviaron una carta a la organización.
2 cartas al caballero Pablo. es el que está encargado de la organización que tiene la página de internet.
¿Ustedes qué están pidiendo exactamente?
Que se reúna con nosotros para poder llegar a un acuerdo de cómo hacer estas cosas más tranquilas y más, vaya, sin peligro para nadie, o para los carros. Hay muchos incidentes donde 3.000 bicicletas pasan por una calle y hay alguien parado en tráfico y le dicen que tiene que salir de la carretera. No, el carro no tiene que salir de la carretera, ni la bicicleta tampoco. Y empiezan a darle golpetazos en el capó del carro. Hay incidentes, como he dicho, que las personas se enojan porque están trancados a las 6:30 en tráfico y tienen que ir a recoger a sus hijos de daycare, de la escuela, o ir a visitar a un pariente, o los camiones de rescate tienen que demorarse dándole la vuelta alrededor de todo para llegar a una dirección. Ese es el problema que estamos teniendo con más servicios.
Sí, en todo caso, ustedes quieren decir que esto es una cosa de monetaria, no es una cuestión de que ustedes quieren recolectar dinero de ellos, sino quieren unirse con ellos para la seguridad.
Nosotros queremos estar seguros que cuando el grupo monte en bicicleta, todo el mundo cumpla con la ley, sea la bicicleta o sea los vehículos.
Pero no va a haber ningún cobro en ese caso, o sea, por la organización que está utilizando realmente los medios de la policía.
Nosotros tenemos otros eventos que los hacemos de bicicleta y entonces a esas personas le cobramos porque esas personas quieren cerrar las calles. En este evento no pienso que es necesario cerrar las calles, nada más que tener seguridad para ese evento. El problema de este evento es que cuando pase algo nadie se hace responsable. Y entonces, si a una persona desgraciadamente tiene que ir para el hospital y no es culpa de esa persona, de un accidente nadie se hace responsable. Las compañías de seguro no se van a hacer responsables porque están montando bicicletas, debieras haber conocido mejor y cosas así. Y el señor Balúa no se ha hecho responsable, él pone esto en la página de internet para que todo el mundo monte y no realiza cuáles son los peligros. Y estamos aquí para decirle a él y a todo el mundo cuáles son los peligros.
¿Ustedes creen que hay personas que se están dando al Critical Mass que no corresponden al Critical Mass, que están creando estos problemas? ¿O ustedes piensan de que los ciclistas que están golpeando esos autos pertenecen al Critical Mass o no?
No, yo pienso que el Critical Mass empezó como una obra buena para traer atención a las leyes de las personas en bicicleta, pero ahora se han juntado, esto se ha convertido como una fiesta grande para todo el mundo juntarse y entonces en todas esas cosas hay aprovechadores. Tenemos personas que están montando bicicleta vendiendo cervezas de neveras en la bicicleta, tenemos personas que no están ni en bicicleta, que están en lo que le dicen los skateboards, causando problemas, tenemos muchachones correteando en bicicleta, haciendo maromas en bicicleta, todo eso llega a ser cosas peligrosas. Tenemos padres que tienen niñitos sin casco, que es contra la ley también. Por eso le estamos diciendo a todas las personas que quieren montar Critical Mass, háganlo con la ley. Paren en los semáforos, paren en los carteles de stop y ayuden a los vehículos. Y cuando viene un vehículo de emergencia, que le cede el derecho de vida.
¿De qué manera actuaría la policía con menores? Porque estos son menores.
La multa va para los padres por no tenerle caso a los menores.
Una pregunta, ¿de qué manera puede implementar el Aaron Cohen Law que firmó el gobernador Scott ayer con esto?
¿En qué manera?
El Aaron Cohen Law, ¿de qué manera puede implementar esto ahora que quiere prevenir esto y ahora tiene esta nueva ley?
Bueno, todo eso es basado en multas de tráfico y eso es lo que vamos a hacer nosotros cuando empecemos a hacer, implementar leyes. Esto es más para un aviso para las personas que están montando, para que sepan que esto no es sancionado por la policía o por la ciudad y que se le puede multar.
Chief, the gentleman earlier had mentioned the enforcement of the 3-foot law. I think it's more necessary and appropriate that the entire department gets from the top down training on bicycle safety. I've had some horrendous incidents with your officers. I was illegally detained and threatened with a violent arrest for riding my bike lawfully in the street. Your dispatchers hung up on me when I called to request assistance, and your IA refused to accept the complaint. I've had other instances where I was assaulted by a taxi driver, and the police officers who responded to the scene blamed me for riding in the street. So if you're going to enforce the bicycle side of the equation, you really need to educate and enforce the driver side of it as well, because if you don't, you're just victimizing the victims further.
I understand that, and that's one of the things I answered the gentleman behind you that we were going to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that.
Anything else?